Hi, I'm josephrlewis, and I write adventures. And a few videos ago, we talked about what is the OSR, and I tried to define the OSR. And basically, that definition for me came down to a handful of things. Number one, we're talking about modern games. Number two, which are clearly descended from D&D circa 1980. And number three, games that adhere to a certain kind of design philosophy or ethos with principles such as rulings over rules, player agency, sandbox play, sort of a gritty realism, lots of random events. It is world-focused and tends to be more lethal. And this is in contrast to what we think of as modern D&D, which tends to be somewhat superheroic, railroady, and character-focused, as opposed to world-focused. So with that in mind, I thought I'd do a little video where I talk about some OSR games and some maybe not so OSR games that are just titles that I like. They're things that are on my shelf. And I thought if you were trying to figure out what's out in this community, what is there to look at, this would be a way to see at least what are some of these titles that we're talking about and maybe things that you might be interested in. This is not a review of anything in any way sense. I'm just going to show you some covers, tell you what the titles are, and give you the briefest overview of what kind of game each one is. Now, some OSR games come in little families. They come in groups, which is super handy to make them talk about. So someone will come out with a cool rule set, an original game, and a community will grow up around it. And then members of that community will start reskinning the game into different flavors or variants. So we end up with a whole family of games based around one core rule set. So with that in mind, let's talk about some of these families that I like. First up is Mörk Borg. Mörk Borg, comes from our friends in Sweden, and it is very OSR. It is so OSR, it has spawned a new category called art punk, because if you start looking through the pages, it is super arty and heavily designed on every page. Tons of amazing layout, so much so that it is hard to read at a lot of the time, but that's kind of the point. It's very heavy metal on your eyes as well as on your gaming table. But it's still a pretty simple, straightforward game. Your players have 4 stats, which are pretty simple. You only have a handful of things to mess with. It's very flavorful in the setting and in the things that you have, the types of spells and whatnot, the character classes. The numbers stay very low. You know, your hit points stay low, your damage rolls stay low. It's all very low math. And it is pretty lethal. It's very common in a Mörk Borg game to go through 2 or 3 characters just in one session, because it's not about your character. It's about the story of what's happening in the world and what's going on. So if that sounds interesting to you, check out Mörk Borg. Other games in the Mörk Borg family include Pirate Borg. This is by my buddy Luke Stratton, Limithron, and it is a reskin and expansion of Mörk Borg into Pirate Borg if you want to do Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it's super fun. I played it at GaryCon recently with a bunch of great guys, and I highly recommend that as well. There's also Cyborg if you want to do cyberpunk, and an upcoming game from one of my artist friends, Tanya Herrero, is called Full Moria, which also looks pretty darn cool. So that's the Mörk Borg family. Moving on to another family, there is a family of hacks. They come with names like the Black Hack and the White Hack, and my personal favorite, Black Sword Hack from the Merry Mushmen. This has very strong old-school flavors and vibes. The art is beautiful. It's by, again, one of my artist friends, Goran Glogovic. And this is heavily styled for Elric of Mel Nibene, if you're interested in that genre. It's very twisted and sword and sorcery. It's pretty dark. It is 6 stats. You roll under your stat, so you don't have to add anything. I like that. Again, it's very flavorful. It's very Elric. There is something called the usage die, which is a neat way of managing your resources without having to really manage your resources. There's a doom die, which basically does the same thing. And again, all the numbers stay pretty low, your HP and your damage rolls, so you're not doing big math. And it is fairly lethal. Not as lethal maybe as Mörk Borg, but don't hang on to your characters too tightly. But I'm a big fan of Black Sword Hack. Moving on to our next family, we have Into the Odd. This family is very cool. Into the Odd was created by Chris McDowell, who wanted to strip down D&D and see how small he could get it without breaking it, and he got real small. So we're talking about a game where your characters have 3 stats. And again, you are rolling under. It is heavily gear focused, so you only have so many slots of things that you can carry around, but those things enable you to do things. So if you have a sword, you can hit things with a sword, and if you have a gun, you can shoot things with a gun. So it's a bit Zelda-like in that sense, which I like very much. Again, the numbers stay super low. It's not big math. You're not getting super powerful. And it has spawned a family called the Mark of the Odd, or Odd Likes, and I like a bunch of these as well. In the Odd family, we have Cairn, and I have bare bones and 1E, and I have 2E up there on the shelf, but I'm not going to reach for it. Cairn is almost the exact same thing as Into the Odd, except it is heavily fantasy flavored. The original Into the Odd is somewhat 19th century, if that makes any sense. There are guns, as I mentioned before, and it has its own styling to it, but if you want a clear, straightforward fantasy vibe for your Cairn-like game, or your Odd-like game, Cairn is the game you want to reach for. It's super lightweight, easy, it's fun and easy to teach to kids and to new players. I highly recommend that. In addition, in the Odd family, we have Mouse Ritter, if you want to play it as a tiny mouse. We have Electric Bastionland, if you want more of that 19th century vibe. We have Mythic Bastionland, if you want to play as an Arthurian knight. We have Liminal Horror, if you want to do horror. So the Odd family is growing, and again, it is super lightweight and fun, and I highly recommend it. My next game isn't so much a family as its own standalone, and it is Shadowdark from Kelsey DeYoung. And it is what would happen if you took the 5e mechanics, 5th edition, and then started scraping away, somewhat like Chris McDowell, to get rid of the cruft that you don't really need, and find down a slimmer, lighter weight version of that game, which again is heavy on vibes and flavor, and it's fantastic. So you're playing with 6 stats, the 6 traditional stats, but there are no skills. You're just using your stat numbers. The numbers all stay, again, super low, your HP, your damage rolls, so there's no big math. It's all small math. Which doesn't make it very lethal, but it probably makes it more lethal than your 5e game. There are lots of random tables. Most of this wonderful book is random tables that help you generate scenarios and encounters, which I find hugely useful, if not just inspirational. It's also a game that has many adventures that are built on hex crawls, so if you're interested in hex crawl action, check out Shadowdark. I'd also point out that many of these games have completely free quick start guides, if not the entire game being free. Shadowdark has a free quick start guide which contains all of the rules, so you can check it out tonight and play it tonight. All of Cairn is free, you can get the whole thing. So again, highly recommend that you check out some of these games. It costs you nothing to try. My next OSR title for you is Troika. Troika is a beautiful little book, and it is highly weird. Again, it's small numbers, it's easy to roll up, but the stats are, or can be, almost anything you want them to be. You can choose what your stats are, what your skills are, I should say, and then roll on those. The numbers stay pretty small. There are a bunch of reference tables for what the effects of your rolls can be. This book is, again, heavy on flavor. I gestured to the book like you could see it on my desk. This book is heavy on flavor, especially if you like the writings of Gene Wolfe and his Book of the New Sun. That very specific science fantasy vibe. Check out Troika. It is dripping with that flavor. My next game for you is Cloud Empress. This is, again, a very beautiful little book. It runs on the Mothership rule set, which is a science fiction game that's being adapted because the people really like the rule set. Again, it's pretty straightforward. You just roll d10s instead of d20s. Pretty easy, straightforward stuff. It has 3 basic classes. You run on 4 stats. You have a stress mechanic, if you're interested in that sort of thing. And this particular book has very strong Nausicaa vibes. So if you remember your original Studio Ghibli presentations, Nausicaa, this may be up your alley. My next book for you is The Electrum Archive, Volumes 1 and 2. Again, lots of beautiful, fantastic art. The system for play, again, this is probably OSR, but maybe it's drifting a little bit into its own category. 5 stats, roll under, 3 basic classes, very straightforward. Big Dune vibes, big science fantasy vibes. So if you want to check that out, I could recommend it. I've not played it yet. It's one of those things I want to play, but I definitely like reading the book and just mining it for ideas. It's a beautiful book. Electrum Archive. My next title for you is Wraithlands. This is almost definitely not OSR at this point. We're getting really far off of the beaten path, but I really like this book. I think it's super cool. I think it's beautiful and it's inspirational. It's basically a dark, twisted Ireland full of monsters and creatures. All of your heroes are already dead. There are no stats. In fact, the rules are so incredibly light. All you do is decide how many advantages in the situation do I have. Maybe you have, a weapon, a tool, a skill, 3 things. That means you roll 3d6 and hope that one of them has a high enough value for you to succeed in whatever it is you're doing. That's it. That's the whole mechanic for the game. But it runs on vibes and beautiful artwork. So if you're interested in a dark, twisted fantasy Ireland where everyone's already dead, please check out Wraithlands. The next book I have for you is Trophy Gold. Trophy Gold, again, almost definitely not OSR at this point. Very much like our last title, this is a game that is heavy on vibes and styling and storytelling, and the group sort of makes things up as you go along. And again, you just roll a dice pool. There are no stats, there are no skills or what have you. Whatever things that you have to give you advantage in the situation, that's how many dice you roll, and you hope that one of them comes up with a 5 or 6 that allows you to succeed. This book is full of scenarios and adventures. I don't know if you can see the colors going down the side. It's very well written. It's very interesting and inspirational. If you would like another rules light option, Trophy Gold may be for you. And the last book I'm going to pull out, again, we are pretty far off from what actually counts as OSR at this point. Blades in the Dark is a heist game that you play where you are the members of a cabal and you're fighting over territory in a dark Victorian Gothic kind of 19th century science fantasy horror setting. It has very unique mechanics that helps you create a story where you are making up story things. This is probably a story game and not an OSR game. But if you want ideas for how to invent new games and explore new mechanics and even just be inspired by a very cool setting, you may want to take a look at Blades in the Dark. All right, that's it for this video. I just wanted to show you a bunch of covers, give you a bunch of titles to go check out, point you in certain directions to see if you're interested. I hope you find that useful as a place to start, as a place to find OSR or OSR adjacent maybe titles of games to check out as you explore this new space. And if you have any burning questions about them, maybe I can do more in-depth videos about some specific games. But I think they're all very cool in their own way, and it is idiosyncratic as to what kind of game will speak to you and what you'll enjoy. So I encourage you to check out as many games as you can. And that's it for this week, so good luck out there. If you liked this video and like to see more, you can check out my Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/josephrlewis to see my videos before they're released on YouTube, as well as dev notes describing how I write my adventures, document templates to help you write your adventures, and tons of fantasy fiction. That's all at patreon.com/josephrlewis.